Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson of World Alternative Media here, and we're joined once again by Mark Gonzales over at First National Bullion. We have a lot to go into today because your bank is definitely at risk, especially in these uncertain times, as we see Basel III implemented. And we're going to go into what that means today regarding this latest move to potentially bail in your bank accounts. Yes, we're talking about bail-in regimes, not bailouts. They're different and they're more dangerous. And we're going to get into that more later as well, and why that affects you in the near future, very much so, as this is becoming, it's quickly becoming the common practice. So we're going to get into that and much more as 63 central banks are implementing this. But before we do, I urge people to check that link below for firstnationalbullion.com/schedule-consult/. Again, this is a way for you to buy physical gold and silver, hold it in your hands, put it in a vault, put it in an IRA outside of the traditional IRAs. I think it's very important to get on this today so you don't succumb to the CBDC system that they're rolling out, as well as your money is far safer actually having it in something, in my opinion, that is wealth insurance rather than this debt-based fraudulent system that is the dollar and where it's going in the near future. So I urge people to check that link, and you'll get a free consultation with Mark, as well as a complimentary investors package. Mark is very awake and has been doing this for a long time. Again, when you sign up on the forum, put in the comments that you found him at World Alternative Media, or WAM, W-A-M, when you sign up to contact him and work with him. So I urge people to check that out below. Now, let's get into this. This is really insane what we're dealing with. This is out of the expose. 63 central banks are implementing Basel III, which includes the widespread practice of bail-ins to rescue failing banks. Yesterday, the Bank for International Settlements announced that its member jurisdictions have made significant progress in implementing the final elements of Basel III. Basel III includes wide acceptance of bail-in as a way of rescuing failing banks. Unlike a bailout, which involves external assistance, often from taxpayers, a bail-in restructures a bank's liabilities internally, which includes taking the money you have on deposit and in savings accounts, as these form part of the bank's liabilities, and converting them from cash you can use into something else, example, shares in the bank. In other words, it's a bailout by the taxpayers, but without the government as the middleman. As a depositor or a saver, the bail-in conditions will not be negotiated with you. Now, this is very dangerous, considering also, by the way, we've talked recently about Operation Sandman with Mark, where we talk about the potential of the dollar basically being shut down overnight, banks unable to access your money. There's a major debt-based system right now. Of course, we know the FDIC isn't properly insuring all this as they claim they are. And of course, we also have the situation where the cash to deposit ratios at these banks are in many cases are below 1%. In many, many cases, I should say, leaving these banks basically insolvent. So Mark, let's get into this. This is pretty interesting news with these 63 central banks implementing this. I was in Basel, Switzerland a couple of years ago at the Bank for International Settlements. It's literally built to look like the Tower of Babel. I mean, we're talking about the enemies of humanity inside this building pushing these scenarios out, which in my opinion, really endanger people who have money in the bank that are expecting to keep that money safe. What say you on this latest move by these 63 banks?
Well, it's same as it ever was, and I think the whole purpose that we're jumping on this this discussion, this Zoom today, is just to try to reiterate what exactly a bail-in is, what it looks like, and then just hopefully try to encourage some people to get their funds out of the bank. But the banking system per Basel III is just a directive of how banks are going to operate. It's the third in a three-part series. You had Basel I, you had Basel II, and they grow from there. Mm-hmm. The bail-in situation that it speaks of is just the enforcement on a global level through the Rothschild Bank of the BIS to be able to enforce on behalf of the Federal Reserve what Dodd-Frank and FATCA actually put into play, because lawyers in this country that work for the pharmaceutical, healthcare, work for the banking structure, work for the insurance structure. They're the ones that actually draft the laws, and the bail-in structure went live here in January 1st, 2015, and it kind of goes something like this. So typically in the banking structure up until January 1st, 2015, and now implemented globally per Basel III, if a bank was to go under and you had funds in those banks, you'd be labeled a depositor. Okay. You would be entitled, even though it's not your money, it's just fake digits that they owe you. You would be entitled to getting paid back if something were to happen to a bank. What the bail-in structure does, it just basically screams fraud at the highest level, and that nothing's secure that you have in the banking system, because what will happen is you are now legally labeled a creditor. You are one that gives a loan to the bank, and not all lenders get paid, as we find out. So in the next banking default, which is here, you mentioned it, you hit it on the head. You got less than 1% reserves in some banks. You got some banks like B of A that have unrealized losses in the hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars. It's kind of interesting to me that the B of A structure and their systems went down, but now all of a sudden their balance sheet seems a little bit more healthy. I think they kind of borrowed money while that closure was going on to restructure their balance sheet and then kind of give it all back. That's just my side note, got no proof of it, but my son tells me that went down. Okay, so back to the bail-ins. You're a creditor into the financial system. If the bank has an unwind or is unable to operate, you agree to the term debt to equity conversion. So you agree to forego the debt that they owe you, $1, $2, Euro 1, Peso 2, whatever it is. You forgive them of that actual physical exchange, and you're willing to accept the equal valuation of shares in the bank. So if you have $100,000 with B of A, with Wells Fargo, with Chase, with Countrywide, with any of these numerous banks, and we have the systemic banking collapse, which is coming, you cannot operate at a 1% reserve level with a global debt of $35 trillion. I mean, it just is fucking ridiculous. It cannot happen. So you're going to see these bank unwinds, and you're going to go to bed on a Friday, wake up on a Monday, could go to bed on a Monday, wake up on Tuesday. It doesn't matter how the hell it happens, what day it is of the week it's going to be. You're going to wake up and you're going to look on your account, if your account app is even working for you, and you're going to see 100,000, $250,000 in stock in the bank. You think, oh shit, I don't want this. So you go to sell it. Well, there's restrictions on you being able to sell it, because if everybody woke up that Monday and sold all the shares that they were granted or given in lieu of their credits to the banking system, the bank would go under, and you would actually, enforce what they're trying to prevent. So this is some pretty serious stuff. We've been shouting this as loud as I can. I don't know what else to do. I hope that it doesn't fall on deaf ears. People need to get the hell out of the banking system. It's going down.
Well, a lot of people don't realize that this banking system is already digital, in the sense that most people, it's not like everyone has, if say they have $5,000 in the bank, and they have $100 maybe in cash on their person, in a currency that in itself is about to be replaced in the coming years as a world reserve, which will make it worth almost nothing. I mean, people don't recognize the danger that they're facing on a daily basis, and most people aren't prepared, even if they're awake to a lot of this, which is very frustrating. I mean, these banks are very, very, very much bankrupt, and the FDIC has already said that they are in a massive shortfall, and there could be a time in the near future. They said in November 2022, before the Silicon Valley banks went down and all these others, they said the banks will likely in the near future close on a Friday, because they'll have to shut it down, because it'll be an emergency situation, and they'll just need to shut down anyone's ability to take money out of the bank, because there will be bank runs. And they said there's a massive shortfall in the insurance on the money that's in those banks. And as I've said for so long to people, if you put your money in the bank, it's not your money, it's the bank's. If your money is always going to the banking system via digital technology, and of course CBDCs and these different things, it's never your money, it's always the bank. So you don't own that money. So in the case of a bail-in regime, it seems like the perfect storm to bring in that kind of technocratic system. As we see the BRICS summit coming up right away, it seems like there's a plethora of issues happening simultaneously. But Mark, what's interesting about all of this is like I said, simultaneously, we also have massive amounts of people flooding into gold and silver. I mean, there's a massive move heading in that direction right now. We're seeing record highs regularly, because people are like, hey, wait a second, I cannot depend on this system. It's slapping me in the face. I'm finally being forced to jump to life and actually do something, get a life raft. What do you think? We're seeing a major move away from one system to another. It's historic. And in the face of it, there's a lot of dangers that come with it, obviously, with these bail-in regimes and the collapse of economies. But it seems like people are starting to finally get motivated to kind of shift into something that ensures their wealth and ensures their finances.
Yeah, I've even seen that at record pace. Trying to keep gold and silver in stock or be able to deliver, and we always are able to come up with it. Obviously, I'm not saying that we can't. I'm just saying that the demand for it, it's skyrocketing with gold hitting all-time highs. And the thing that, since we're talking about Basel III, let's remind everybody that when you're buying gold, you're not buying an investment. And I've had this proposed to me by some of my clients recently, because they're looking at it as the investment. They're trying to look at the price point. Did I make money? Did I lose money? Get your head around it. It's not an investment. You're buying money. And per Basel III, gold is now a reserve asset. It's a tier 1 reserve asset equal to treasury in dollars. So essentially all you're doing is taking your paper reserve asset to buy an actual tangible reserve asset of monetary value. So why would the Bank for International Settlements per Basel III make gold a reserve asset? Is because we know we need to have the backbone for that financial restructure or reset. In regards to the bail-ins, the first bail-in was done in Cyprus in 2014, and those people got absolutely screwed because they were restricted to sell that stock for a period of 2 years. They broke one of the banks up into 2 banks. They put all the creditors or the consumers, small businesses, people like you and me, they put those in the crap bank and they defaulted it. So your share price went to zero. So this is just a hijack of biblical proportions. So I would really implore people is to get the hell out while you can.
Well, we see banks getting restructured in a different way. I mean, we talked about it recently. We're seeing a lot of banks get bought out by bigger banks because as we move into this new system, they're going to have to kind of restructure all these banks and restructure the assets of all these banks. It's a major move that's happening right now. And of course, when we talk about something like gold and silver as an investment, it's funny because the only ones that really think it's an investment truly and use it as an investment are banks that spoof the numbers and make, scalp the market by spoofing the numbers and manipulating the numbers on their balance sheet, which is complete fraud, by the way. And many banks have been caught, and including JP Morgan and Deutsche Bank and many others. And people have gone to jail for it. Monte de Paschi, many banks have been caught doing it. But, outside of that, as far as a human being versus what, an ounce of gold was worth 100 years ago versus now, if you have that coin back then and you have it now, you will notice that you can buy pretty much the same as you could before the Federal Reserve banking system came in with the massive amounts of inflation that they've bestowed onto humanity to impoverish people. So I think that's an important thing to throw in there. But Mark, we're facing the biggest banking crisis, in my opinion, in history. And it's not to be a fearmonger here. It's just pretty obvious. They've, kept this balloon inflated as long as they possibly could. I mean, what do you think happens in the near future here as we walk into the Great Reset? They need order out of chaos. So they need to do something crazy to get us to the point where they just openly start bailing in banks. What do you think?
Well, the trend seems to be cyber attack or the systems going down. I that's my personal thought is I think you're going to have some sort of cyber attack. I mean, you can go to the World Economic Forum and you can look under their agendas page and you're going to see over 600 titles. If you had time to go through that, over 600 titles referencing cyber attacks, even planned cyber attacks or simulations on how to get through one. That's probably, I think, going to be the easiest and most convenient way for them. Sadly, I believe that the cyber attack that we have coming to usher in the digital currency and completely lock you out of your banking system for good. So that means if you haven't taken steps now, you need to do it. You need to walk in the bank tomorrow. You need to walk in the bank Monday. You need to start transferring. You need to start buying some metal. You need to get it the hell out of there. But these cyber attacks, I think, are going to fall on the heels of a massive market collapse because also in Basel III, not only did they raise the reserve requirements to make the banking system have the appearance of health after 2008, but they also raised the amount of leverage that you can have. So when you add those together or kind of counterweigh them, they didn't do a damn thing. And the leverage in the financial system is so abundant that the slightest little thing is going to send this thing to its heels. And that is one of the easiest ways to steal wealth from a population as a good old-fashioned market collapse in lieu of a time where we got to revalue a currency. So this is, I mean, it's all accounting. They just simply have to rewrite the ledger. A market collapse helps do that. Locking you out of your bank helps do that because they can shore up those reserves. They can give you stock, but the stock's going to fucking collapse anyway. So what are you going to do?
Yeah. And they got new excuses for that as well, Mark. As we reported recently on the United Nations Pact for the Future, 193 countries signing on to this. They say if you criticize a government or do these things that they don't like, they can just shut down your bank account, digital IDs, food rations, all these different things. That all comes back to what people are dependent on most. There's two things: their bank and, of course, the grocery stores for food. And I'll add in a third, obviously, the government-run grid. And with that dependence comes vast enslavement if people aren't prepared for what comes next.
No, they're not going to be prepared. And here's your chance for prepared. Don't be one of those people. I mean, pick up the phone, give me a call. Let's find a way to get the IRA done. Let's get metal shipped to you. And if not me, someone else. But it would be, I think, worth the conversation to get to know me a little bit. I seem to be pretty knowledgeable about this and what's going to be going on. You don't want to be caught a day late, dollar short. And I just get that feeling over and over and over again. More, it's becoming more apparent to me that we're here at this point in time that we've been speaking about for really almost a decade now, while people just looked at us calling us crazy. Well, not so crazy anymore, and it's going to happen. I don't know the day or time it's going to happen, but there will be a moment where silver bounces up towards 33 bucks, breaks above it, gold's going to hit an all-time high, and the very next day you got 36, 37, and you're going to wish I woulda, coulda, woulda. And then you got 40, then you got 50, then you got breaking all-time highs for silver.
Yeah.
I don't have a market valuation of where I think metals are going to be at any particular time. I don't think any of that matters. I think when the music stops, you need to just have a solid position. If you don't have a solid position, you only have yourself to blame. You've been told this by me. You've been told this by Josh. You've been told this by whoever else you're watching. The time is now. And now that Basel III is in full effect, you couple that with Pact for the Future, with the IMF going live with their digital currency 15 days ago. I mean, it just smells bad news. Look at what's going on with the weather manipulation and what they can do with just drowning entire cities. You think anybody cares about you? No one does. So take action while you can. That's really all I got to say, and I'm here to help.
It comes down to every individual actually taking that opportunity onto themselves to be responsible. The basis of freedom, you don't hold freedom in your hands. You are free or you're not. It depends on you defending yourself or not. And of course, it comes down to individual responsibility and, of course, independence. These are the basis of freedom, and that is the basis of humanity. It's all synonymous, and it comes down to every single one of you watching right now to do something about this. Go somewhere else. It doesn't matter, but you could also go and honestly work with someone like Mark, who is very aware and awake of all these different things that are happening right now, and get prepared in this way and take that step so that you aren't left behind later, because it's crazy right now. I mean, it's pretty obvious. We don't even have to tell people about this stuff at this point, because it's just blatant. You see it in the economy. You see it at the grocery store. You see it with all these different crises that are happening simultaneously. It's pretty obvious where we're heading. And with this latest move, it's just basically them giving you a big middle finger saying, haha, you're not doing anything, are you? Because we're about to steal all your money and make you enslaved to a new digital system. And you guys aren't prepared. They depend on the dependence of the masses. It's a tumor. It's a collectivism begetting collectivism. They need your dependence to survive. And so don't give them that lifeblood. Give yourself the lifeblood that's necessary, which is independence. It's not convenience. Tyranny comes under the guise of convenience. It's you as an individual living freely and standing by that freedom by stepping up and doing these things that are so important. So I urge people, again, to check that link below for firstnationalbullion.com/schedule-consult/. It has to be that exact link. So make sure to find that in the description below, or go to it, whatever, but it has to be that link so that you can buy physical gold and silver, platinum or palladium. You could hold it in your hand. You could hold this gold in a vault or in an IRA outside of those traditional IRAs, like you mentioned, and you get a free consultation with Mark, as well as a complimentary investors package. So let's get serious about this. Let him know in the comments of the forum that you found him at World Alternative Media, or WAM, WAM. And this is a time to make that step. Stop waiting for it. Stop waiting for something big to change, because when it changes, you'll be stuck on the inside looking out, and it'll be very difficult, if possible at all, to escape this system. So this comes down to what you do now, not later. Putting this off is only detrimental to you. So as always, Mark, thank you for going into this stuff with us. There's so much happening, and we'll be back with much more with Mark, because I mean, all you have to do is go to sleep, wake up the next day, and see 50 more stories that are basically just telling you what is about to occur and why we need to take action about these things. So as always, thanks for the insights, Mark, and we'll be back with much more here at WHAM. As always, live freely, live by example. This is Josh Sigurdson and Mark Gonzales signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.